Hey. Hello.
Hi, Martin. We should be starting in a few seconds or so. Just, wait for a few seconds and then I'll let you know when we can start.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, great. Okay, looks like we need to get going. Good afternoon. Once again, we are back for live series 4 of the discussion around the citizen economic empowerment law. For purposes of those that are joining for the first time, we have set the protocol as follows. We are looking at a timeline of 40 minutes for discussion. Once 40 minutes is done, the conversation will stop immediately. We will allow for a Q&A session. In order to participate in the Q&A session, you just simply raise your hand and we will unmute you and we will allow you to participate. We also have a chat room, so which if you are not comfortable raising your voice, you can actually just write your question or comment in the chat box. We have a data team that's collecting insights. They'll pick up your comment in there. The last part is that this video is being recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. So immediately 10 minutes after we finish, the video will be up and live. So just to jump straight into it, our guest today, or our panel today, is a man who really doesn't need introduction. He's a man who I personally associate as a startup success story for Botswana. Martin Stimela, CEO of Brastorne Enterprises. I will not speak much about his company. I will allow him to just briefly tell you guys what he's been up to and what he's currently doing, and then he will share with us our perspective around the Citizen Economic Empowerment Law. Martin, over to you.
Hello.
Yeah, we have just unmuted you. I guess you can go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Is my voice audible?
100%.
Okay, all right. I'm not sure if I should be sharing my video as well, or I don't know about the protocol. Or is this fine? Can I just carry
You can
on?
share your video if you wish. People would love to see you, and then you can switch it off after. It doesn't. It really it's up to you.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. There we are. Okay. So hello everyone. I'm not sure how many people are on the call. My name is Martin Stimela, and as already introduced, I am the CEO of Brastorne Enterprises. So maybe just a little bit of background about Brastorne and who we are. Brastorne is a Botswana-based citizen-owned company that is responsible for developing solutions for the underserved such as Mpotsa. Mpotsa is our Google for Africa because it's a localized database of information that people can call in or SMS and ask specific information and look for anything, that is quite localized. Reason is, we know Google has its limitations. Google only gives you information mainly about, first world countries and things that are already out there. But you can't ask Google, for example, for something like, can I get a number of a plumber, phase 2, or something like that. That is very, very localized. So we have hyper localized information that we share with people, our underserved communities, and it's doing really well. We also have a USSD channel, which was in partnership with Orange. And the idea was that people were able to connect to the internet by using USSD. So anyone on SAD like me can go in and access Google, can access email, access Wikipedia, and there's a huge chat platform. I mean, on there, which has over 700,000 subscribers in Botswana that are chatting and talking and are willing to pay for this. So that's something that we provide with the mobile networks. Recently, we've spread our wings. We've moved on and are in DRC. We're also in Uganda. We're about to enter Ethiopia as well. If you know Ethiopia and the DRC, those are the second and third largest population-wise countries in Africa. So that's the reason why we moved there. Nigeria, we didn't really target just because of the political and environments there weren't so favorable for us. We've also moved into apps now. We've got something called Voca Social, which is sort of similar to what Facebook does. We've also developed some platforms which will be rolling out called Voca Stores. And if you know Shopify, it just gives people the ability to set up their own stores and they can buy and sell. We've done all the integrations for cards. So if you have your own small store, an e-commerce store, you can set it up. You have a mobile app, you have a website link, you have a payment platform, and you have links to logistics. So it's end-to-end buying and selling of your goods in the online environment. So we've been busy over COVID. I should stop there, or you want to know more about Brastorne?
Yeah, so I think the reason why we have you on the panel, we do have startup success stories like yourselves who are really driving the startup ecosystem. But Martin, there's this thing that that's come up now. Citizen economic empowerment, it's going to Parliament soon. When as a citizen, we want to know what's your perspective on this? Based on your story, has being a Botswana, has it helped you to where you are? and how would you relate with others that are interested in this subject? Is it something that can help them where they sit from the startup ecosystem perspective?
Well, I think from my end, obviously, I welcome something like this. I think the fact that, and I'll applaud government and Business Botswana and all the different stakeholders for realizing that there is definitely a place, or there was a gap where we didn't have anything that was focused on citizen empowerment. I mean, they've got things like, other programs that are out there that, depending on which side of the fence you are, you could argue they're doing well or not doing well. I don't think they're doing that great. But yeah, just want to acknowledge the fact that we've thought about, the second thing is I do hope that these exercises, these consultation exercises really bear fruit, because I was hoping that I would have been contacted, and my peers as well, and a lot of my peers don't know anything about this. What I'm trying to say is there's something that is being done for us, but it's not being done with us, so I don't know. That
I think you are touching on to something that, Justice William mentioned, citizen economic empowerment. Is it coming from the top and we are being given it, or do we want something that comes from the bottom and we build it? What is the actual outcome? So for you, besides Business Botswana being a platform, we got corrected actually today to say this is not consultation, this is discussion. That element there, consultation, yeah, misa. In your perspective, how do we frame a proper consultation of developing a policy like this one or a law like this one? Will impact Botswana for generations to come.
The market will always be the market. So I would personally say that we shouldn't do things that are haphazard, because it could be hit and miss. They could come up with a really amazing policy that works for us, or they may not, so rather not take the chance and really consult widely to find, or whenever you expect them to benefit or be the beneficiaries of this, have actually been consulted and have, put in their 2 cents into the crafting of such policies. So I don't know how it came about. And it's disappointing, obviously, because I think there's a lot of not just talent out there, but also a lot of people who are in the gutters who would really be able to tell you a real life scenario of how this can help and where the pain points are. Maybe it's been done and some of us have been skipped, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. I just want to say that, Business Botswana, yesterday we had the president, Business Botswana. His perspective was that Lena Hansen thing is the president of the Business Botswana. He received a 2-pager document crafted by Ministry of Trade. So Bonele private sector, they have to have an input. But for them, their perspective, a quick win could be to participate in the form of for an all-inclusive law. So so rather we should try to work within the governing principle. People have ideated, so let's try to consider the law, but framework 2 pages sharing define the CCE law. But for you, just to ask you as well, do you think the ecosystem has been designed such that how can law, guys like yourselves who are developing startups would be able to benefit? I know you are not an SME, you are a startup, and that's something that you and I have strongly talked about saying, for example, your funding instrument is not one that a bank or CEDA would easily understand. How do we get to that point where, if with your ideas like Bovuka, they're able to get off through this law? What is the quick win for you, Martin, in terms of setting the right policy and infrastructure?
Yeah, I think you've touched on quite a few things there. I think the first one, Tota, is who is the owner of this citizen empowerment, whatever policy or law. You know, and there's two major stakeholders there. One is government, and the second is obviously the private sector. Which I feel or the private sector can be led through our president of Business Botswana. You know, Ministry of Food can also talk about how do they see empowering citizens, but remember they're a government instrument. How can they do that is one, they can look within government, where are the things that need fixing within government, if fixing is the right word. You know, there's succession plans within government, because we can't have so many young people out of jobs. You know, decisions, or people make decisions about us without really understanding what we really need. I'm trying to be very diplomatic, but and if I'm being blunt, a 60, 70-year-old person making a decision on IT or, you know, fourth industrial revolution, in what they don't participate in, becomes very difficult for them to know where the pain points are. So that has to be very, very deliberate to put the right people in the right places who can make the right choices and right decisions for citizens. And on our side, going back to your second point about where do I see, or where would I want to see value, you know, because it's about value, it's not about just policy. It's about value. I'm an actual business that is trading. So obviously, if it comes, it either has to improve my welfare or my life somehow, right? So for me, you know, how do you create a conducive environment for the small business and startups to grow, right? And have incentives that don't make us migrate as soon as we're able to, you know. And it's important what I'm saying here, because number one, I'm talking about how Simolla, you need some sort of support, hand holding, gore o kgone go concentrate or build a business. Currently, the current framework is there, but it's lacking, right? Why do I say that? The 100,000, I think, were youth, you know. I have a problem with just having one policy that says this is all you can get, right? Because people end up undercapitalizing the project as I want. Or I'd say 100,000 to about me about to a project or probably it's worth $1 million. So they end up under capitalizing a project and can't deliver for Sosa $1 million because we're winning 100,000 tehela. So we need things that are quite flexible, instruments that are flexible to target those people whose businesses are more than 100,000. I mean, we know inflation and we know but 100,000 to raise a change. I would have thought by now to go 500,000 or whatever. So that's something that I feel is quite important for us. People like myself, who are cash positive, but still cannot get funding. Why? Because we don't have security. This notion of security law needs to start going away. You know, we can't get money because we don't have buildings or assets. Attached to the businesses are on. We're purely services, purely e-commerce, or purely online. So without, all we have is cash, right? But cash is liquidity. You need it. And now build a business, the capital assets, like cash. No, you need money for capital. But the instrument is the. So things like government guarantees, I know the government put out a guarantee, but this guarantee because COVID, it's only for working capital. So businesses that have been affected by this. So we need really strong and deliberate policies by government to say, okay, the businesses may win or they may fail. But at least let's give them something. Because the second point of my argument was the minute that we start making it, Brastorne are going to move and they're going to go to your Mauritius. We're going to open up our companies in Delaware. Everyone is going to Delaware, which is the US, because it's easy to get money there, but because of Botswana, we want to support Botswana. So I won't go too much into your thing, but for me, it's about how do you affect the supply and the demand side issues. How do you create a conducive environment for us? The first thing is about access to funding, giving us capital that allows us to grow, not only grow, but compete with the best. I can DRC, the companies established. They are prepared to lose, as Uber loses $60 million a month, but they're trading and the valuation is so high and people are still looking to invest in them. We are profitable, very profitable, over 300% profitable, but we can't raise funding. So much money, but is losing money. So it's a different world that we need to look at. The second thing is access to markets. How do they provide deliberate access to markets? Rona, we don't have Khoromente as a partner or as a client, but a lot of businesses in this country rely on government, so they have to again be very deliberate, or certain things are just reserved for citizens, and citizens, they also have to be deliberate. Or how little citizen, who are we talking about? There are citizens and there are people who are holding Diomang who are, yes, citizens, but we need to start looking at or the indigenous. Those people, how but has sort of strong family ties and compete Botswana doesn't really have that first, second, third generational wealth or compete for the same opportunities. It's a no-brainer that there will be one winner and there will be one loser. That's for sure, So we need to be, South Africa, when I live black empowerment, for example. I'm not saying that's what we should do, but there are things that are very, very deliberate for the citizens, So yeah, but the biggest one for me is the incentive, tax and tax breaks and tax incentives. You really need to start making it attractive for small businesses. Just to give you an example, Botswana does not make money from our government. GDP does not make money from small businesses, taxing them. That's less than 1% of the GDP annually is from taxing SMMEs or startups. Less than 1%, far less, but yet you still chase after SMMEs or duelan lekgetho, where the SMME because they reinvest that money, they hire more people. If I'm paying 100, 200, monthly I'm paying close to 100 and 200,000 in tax, VAT, yes. And then I got to do a corporate tax. Reinvest because I'm not getting funding. So I'm not getting funding, but yet I am paying out money that I could be using and reinvesting back into my my company. But even though the government less than 1% from me and all the collective SMMEs out there into the they don't need it that much. So they need to let me use it.
Yeah.
Maybe let me stop there and
yeah. Thank you very much, Martin. I think what you are calling for is for seamless coordination on how things are done. I won't like taint too much of your points. At this juncture, I think we are opening up for questions and comments. We have approximately 10 minutes. So please raise your hand. We will unmute you. You can make your comment or you can ask your question directly to Martin. There we go. Yeah, you can go ahead, sir.
Stimela. I hope I can be heard. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, as you can see, my picture shows I'm silver-chinned, so I'm not very young and maybe not very familiar to participate in meetings like this. But I would just like to start here, anyway, just to make my point right there. The first bit that you must understand is just looking at our history. There's never been something called parliament doing a private bill. That present you, they've never been successful. A private bill, it's not coming from within government. It has never happened, at least not that I know of. It means we have a government, and by government, civil service. We have a government that thinks it is the only one that knows what the country's problems are and how they can be resolved. That is our attitude, Botswana. So, you cannot sit down as private citizens, guys, such and such is happening. How do we get this to move from where we are to where it should be? So it is not shocking where even Business Botswana, an old organization, the government knows what is there, will never be given a space to draft something and bring it to the table. I hope I'm still being heard.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So it means clearly Business Botswana has never been given an opportunity where private citizens can get together, see a problem, come up with a solution, bring it as a private bill to Parliament for it to pass. It means we can only listen to government and say things the way government feels and wants us to do them. So, one of the citizen economic, whatever, ECA, you can only join that train. And it's not itself necessarily a bad thing. The biggest problem is, it then means people have set and thought of it in a certain direction. Are we in a position to change that direction? Or are we being used to tick a box? We spoke to citizens, to Business Botswana, we consulted Moody Kotling, we spoke to a few people. Is this really, really giving your people an opportunity to get things to where the majority of the people may think thing? So I sometimes just start feeling I doubt it based on our past experience. We've never had a situation where private sector, private citizens, political parties, and NGOs, anybody says, here's a problem, this is how we think it can be resolved, and it's presented and it's listened at that. We have, for lack of a better word, an arrogant civil service that says, we know better than you. So we will tell you how we can resolve this problem. That is the first thing, problem, because it then means whatever our chip-ins and our throwing-ins and our contribution to this thing is just so that we tick a box. No, we talked to those guys. They were part of it. So I'm hoping that it will be different. But as I say, past experience, unfortunately, if anything is to go by, past experience doesn't point things in the right direction.
Yeah.
Then we have the second part where private sector is generally perceived as money grabbers by hook or crook. You have a civil service that's relatively, And it says anybody that is trying to do work privately as so it then means how to do economic empowerment. You have that in mind. Your head is saying, hey, you are busy looking at how you perceive your people to be. And then you're moving away from what ought to have been potentially a good thing to happen. But because you perceive your people as these young people that can drive the Range Rover in 3 seconds, you have these people that beat out and I am not sure if the environment is clean enough for us to come up with a policy like this. I'm not going to discourage Horijirwe, I'm just simply bringing out things for it. My final point at this point in time, I'll chip in if the discussion goes through. My final point is just our culture as a people. Painful realities, it doesn't matter how you try and put it or justify it or say it, there's serious self-hate in the nation. We hate each other. We do. The reason why foreigners are leading our economy is not because they're smart enough. It's not because they're doing the best presentations to government. It's not that they're doing the job any better, they're less corrupt. No, it's our people hate themselves. They hate their brothers and sisters. Just simple. So I said to the people, you would seriously rather give Nadaraja ne tiro. Is this law really going to make a difference, guys? Really? You could not do it out of patriotism. You're trying to make Malawa patriotism. I'm looking forward to the excitement that thing with serious trepidation. I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm not going to not participate. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing to happen, but the environment that we have a private sector and public service that are fighting. We have situations where government has never appreciated how private people can come up with solutions. We have a culture of self-hate. I don't know whether we're going to really get anything out of this thing, or it's going to be one of the brilliant laws and good intentions that are passed, but they yield nothing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Resento, for such insights. We will not comment much on them, but I like the fact that you have emphasized, this is definitely not, a bottom-up approach. This is a top-down approach. So, and I did get somebody actually texting me today and say, we need to safely say that, we need to create our own law. But as you said here, Resento, it's never happened in the history of Botswana or a private bill that comes outside government. So that's something say in the report to say perspective can we change this before we go forward and endorse or consult and discuss this. So I will ask maybe others who are not able to ask questions, because we have about 7 minutes and we come to a conclusion. Just to ask your question, you raise your hand, and I will hand over to Martin to give us the last words before we conclude. We've got quite many participants. Please feel free to type in the chat box or raise your hand. You just have to press one of the buttons there, then I will unmute you, and then you will be able to speak. Okay, Martin, maybe just your 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, Resento, I think, really touches on things that are quite dear to my heart. And I don't know how we can change this narrative. But I can't fault anything he said. I really agree with everything Sasiwile, from the private bill to someone who is an entrepreneur who is deemed as young. I'm close to 40 now, but yet I was in a meeting, so we already it's a whole very evident or how it's saying, it's like you miss a email, and you can't then contribute you know, just to give you an example, we've donated our contact center. So the 16649 number, we donated it, you know. The digital register as there are people getting paid, but the only way that I could get myself in there was to talk about a donation. You know, our donation is worth more than 10 million. Just even money spent on developing some of these things. But yet, the talk is still, I mean, I'm not even getting a cent. And it's so painful to do that. And I told them that we did this for DRC. DRC took it and they loved it and they embraced it. And we are more popular as Brastorne in foreign countries than we are in our own country. You know, and when you go to Kenya, Woolworths don't do well. They don't. South African SAB Miller don't do well. Why? Because Kenyans are patriotic. They love their own products. That's why Mpotsa and all of them have done so well there. And anything that is foreign does not do well. On our side, when we launched Voca Stores and we launched Voca Social, our own Botswana said, "Nah, Roma is Facebook. We don't know why they said Facebook. No. They boycotted." And it's so sad because we just don't have that love for our people, for ourselves. And if you are a Botswana and one night young and successful, it's like Stimela. I don't know how to answer that, Resinto, but you really touched something that we speak about, but the patriotism. Thank you.
Okay, Martin, thank you very much. I see that there is no other questions. I was going to take the last questions. Rasinto, you are still on unmute. Maybe I give you just 30 seconds to give us perspective and guidance. You know, you've been in the business for years. You understand the plight of the startup or the young person. What's your perspective, Rasinto? Do we just jump and say yes on this? How does the next generation participate from your perspective?
Yeah, thank you very much, Reteker. I will be honest with you guys. Now, for the love of, if it's your business idea, yourself, your family, and the country, if you're going to do something in this country, it's painful to say this, but you're going to probably have to take your eyes off any income. There is so much sacrifice that you must do to get anywhere in your own country. Be prepared for your own brothers and sisters laughing at you and rubbing salt in your wound. We love to see each other down. We seem to enjoy this. So any young entrepreneur that's up and coming, just know, in your country, you're not going to be liked by anybody. You're going to be judged. You're going to be judged by your age. You guys are smart young people that are willing to take the country somewhere else. But because somebody sits down and says, I'm 60, I did not do this, why the hell must I give this young person an opportunity? It's just your reality. So I would really say to you, hang in there, fight with what you have, but just know I think we are probably going to be more successful going out, growing our businesses elsewhere, and then possibly coming back. Environment is nice because that night you're gonna go, you can go and sleep on somebody's bedroom. But outside that, just know the business environment is not conducive for young, aggressive, ambitious entrepreneurs like yourselves. It doesn't mean it can't be done, but it just means you need to be aware of that. You know, I've been vet and agri for 23 years. It's a tiny little company. It should be massive, but it's just a situation where, why didn't you join government? So you just punished throughout your life until you exit in your little poverty, you swear and jump up and down and huff and puff, but guys just take pride in the fact that, you thought you were going to make it out there. You think, Rona, we are stupid waiting for this government. So it's just things to be prepared when you go. we have a better chance. And I think it's an African thing. I think that's why we have a good number of African expats here who walk in here and know, you know what, probably in my village, in my own town, in my own country,